Today's MTG Weekly stream gave us a whole new list of spoilers for next year's upcoming Marvel set. And yes, this is ahead of Lorwyn, but those spoilers are upcoming. We got a short preview of some of the cards from that upcoming set and a lot of information as well. It looks like it's going to be a lot better than the Spider-Man one, and I think a lot of us really predicted that in terms of the logistics of how the Spider-Man set was kind of made and put out, as well as kind of the long-lasting deal that we have with Magic the Gathering and Marvel over multiple sets. We know that the quality is going to be there in terms of actual cards, their power, and as well as the set design. Maybe Spider-Man fell a little bit short, but as we see from some of the spoilers today, there's going to be some power in it. So all of this is going to be available on the Marvel Superhero Spoilers page on MTG Goldfish, but as other websites added as well, such as Scryfall and whatnot, is going to be available on there. So for now, let's hop into it card by card. First one is going to be Quicksilver Brash Blur. 1 mana for a 1/1 with haste. It says if Quicksilver Brash Blur is in your opening hand, you may begin the game with him on the battlefield. Folks, you know, ley lines, no more. Leyline Axe as well. Quicksilver, no reference to any leyline whatsoever. Maybe in the digital implementation of this card, because we're gonna have the same thing happen with Spider-Man, by the way, where the Magic Online and Magic Arena versions of these cards are through the Omen Path cards. Maybe that one gets called like Leyline of the Haste. You know what I mean? I don't know, Leyline of the Mono Red Aggro. But this card is kind of crazy starting off, but the balancing factor being that it is a legendary creature. So if you have 3-4 of them in your opening hand, there is that downside, but I imagine this is still going to see play in certain mono red builds. The power up ability says put a 1/1 counter and double strike counter on Quicksilver, activate each power up ability only once, and reduce the cost of his mana cost, reduce the cost by his mana cost, I should say, if he entered this turn. So I believe if it's, before, like you may begin the game with him on the battlefield, I believe if you begin the game and it's your turn, it still counts as your turn. So then if you were to like have him start as like a ley lined out creature, and then you start the game on turn 1, then you can go like ritual and like activate it or something like that, like land ritual, like that's a thing in older formats if you want to spend all those cards to just make it a 2/2 with double strike. But if you are going second, you don't have that. So if you played it out on a later turn, you would, but then it would just be like 5 mana in total because you reduce it by 1, reduce it by its mana cost. So you pay its mana cost, you'd pay the power up ability. It would be like a 5 mana 2/2 with haste and double strike. The power of this is just the fact that it's able to start off onto the battlefield. So it's interesting to see that they're not willing to shy away from this design, although it is a very powerful effect. Cards that have effects on your opening hand, or, if you just begin with it, you put it out. So I'm thinking not only just of the ley lines, but if you're thinking of effects that, it starts in your opening hand with the Chancellors, where you add mana or you make something uncounterable. A lot of these are really powerful effects. So we have to be careful with this design space. This is an interesting one. Maybe we just stop here. You know what I mean? This is cool for now. Next up is going to be Super Scroll. And the reason I want to bring this up specifically from a commander perspective, this is another one of those like 5-color slop commanders that I'm not really a fan of, but it has an activated ability being mono black. It is actually a pretty steep cost, like being black, then requiring an activated ability of each one is pretty steep. It's a cool like infinite mana sink because target player draws 4 cards. So not only can you draw cards, but then obviously you can just make target player draw cards. So if you have infinite mana, you can just force your opponents to draw out of the game. This obviously would then get around effects that are preventing them from drawing the game. Maybe if they have like an enchantment out that's preventing them from doing that, Super Skull is going to be able to do that. But it's kind of like a cool updated version of like Kenrith. Kenrith is probably just net better. Honestly, it really does the same thing. I mean, gaining life, 1/1 counter, target player draws a card, so you still have that same ability, and then put target creature card from your graveyard onto the battlefield, and it's white in its cost. Where Super Scroll, it is flying into 4/5. You create a 0/4. Super Scroll gets +4/+4. It's not that you put a 1/1 counter on anything on like Kenrith, and then deal 4 damage to target creature. It doesn't even burn your opponent, and then target player draws 4 cards. So, this is like a super villain shapeshifter carrying like Kenrith. but Kenneth is kind of still just better. People are going to bring up the comparisons. I just thought it was worth bringing up. Next up is going to be World War Hulk, which is actually an insane card. 5 mana for a Saga, green, and 3. The first mode is all we care about. The second mode says put 3/1/1 counters on a creature you control. The third one says choose target creature you control until the end of turn, double its power and toughness, and gains trample. Cool. First ability says, after you pay this, you go to the first mode. So the Saga trigger has to resolve, which is relevant in a world of stifles and consigned memories. The Saga trigger has to resolve. The next red or green creature spell you cast this turn can be cast without paying its mana cost. Wow. Now, I love how it's can, because there are going to be spells that care about if this spell was cast without paying any mana or gain an effect based on the amount of mana that you paid. And obviously, if you paid no mana, you're not getting that effect. So you are able to circumvent it in the niche scenarios, but just being able to cast a red creature or a green creature for free without paying its mana cost is absolutely insane. And then on top of that, you are going to be able to add on your kicker cost, as far as I'm aware of, based on how it is worded. So at a base level 1, you are going to be able to cast stuff like Progenitus. Yes, the level 1 should unironically be you can cast your 6 mana, 6/6 with Trample the Dino with, for free, with the 5 mana card. So pretty much all of your red and green cards in your deck are just going to cost 5 whenever you play this, as long as you have it in your hand. The next level up is the fact that it doesn't restrict you on where you are casting the card from. A lot of times effects like this can actually have a restriction on being cast from a certain zone, like your hand or whatever, but you can also just cast your commander. It is just the next red or green, kind of creature card being cast, you can cast it for free. So Zakama out of your command zone, being 9 total mana, being able to cast it for 5, and then when it enters, untap all lands you control, and then you're able to kind of use the rest of the abilities. This is definitely going to be a staple in Zakama, alongside numerous other red, green, and or mono green and or multicolor decks that have green in them type of strategies. I think this is like an absolutely insane card, just being able to get something out for free. It's just sweet value. And the fact that you can cast any red or green creature spell, it's going to be an auto include in almost any high cost multicolor, like 5-color or just green commander decks, where you can just get out a large commander for free, get immediate value, and then take it from there. The last thing I want to mention, again, it specifies creature cards, so you're not going to be casting something like Conflux for free. Again, it says red or green creature spell. So just remember, reading the card, explaining the cards. I got a little excited when I first read it, but no, creature card. And it specifically has to be red or green, so it's not like you're casting your, you're in Sultai colors or something, and you have this in there and you're casting like a giant blue creature, like an Inkwell Leviathan or something. Like, you're not doing that. You have to cast specifically within those colors. Keep that in mind when you're brewing with this card. Next up is going to be the Coming of Galactus, and this was actually a really funny one because you have 4 modes: destroy up to 1 target non-land permanent, then each opponent loses 2 life. Off the next 2 modes, it's 5 mana, sorry. Then on the last mode, create a Galactus legendary 16/16 black elder alien creature token with flying, trample, and says whenever Galactus attacks, it's an attack trigger, doesn't even need to hit, destroy target land. I love that because it's an eater of planets, so of course it's going to be attacking lands. It's going to be land destruction in a standard legal set. I don't know how people feel about that. Also, being 16/16 makes this bigger than Emrakul, but then not bigger than Merit Lodge. Just saying, doesn't make it bigger than Merit Lodge, makes it bigger than Emrakul. What's gonna win? 2020 Indestructible Merit Lodge or a Galacti Boy? I don't know. You tell me. Comment section down below. Who's winning? Atuma at 19 Warlord, I want to bring up specifically just because I had some recent work with some merfolk that you are going to see the fruition of. I don't even think I'm allowed to talk about it. It was a fun little video I did. Other merfolk you control get +1/+1. Whenever one or more merfolk you control attacks a player, draw a card. It is potentially playable in modern merfolk, maybe even legacy probably not legacy merfolk. I think legacy merfolk's decklist is a little too tight for something like this. Modern might be able to as like a 1 to 2 of in the top end, just because the draw is on attack. It doesn't need to connect, and it is also a lord that is it's fatal pushable, but it's not boltable. So all of that is pretty relevant. Prismatic ending as well. there's a lot of things like helping with this. Again, it doesn't give evasion, but it does give the +1/+1, and you get the draw on attack. Notably, it is 1 or more, which is probably what's holding it back, because if you attack with 3 merfolk, you're not drawing 3 cards, you're drawing 1 card. So I think that's probably going to be the big difference maker. Probably doesn't end up seeing play, honestly, at all. But I thought it was worth bringing up because there are going to be some level of merfolk support. So just something to think about, especially when you come to like the modern mill list. You're really, if you kind of boost it down here, you're really looking at like Sewellin, where whenever Sewellin, I should say, if I'm pronouncing that right, whenever it attacks, draw a card, other merfolk have ward 1, and then you get like the indestructible clause. So like there's like, you know, like merfolk right now is very like cheap and low to the ground. Like you have your core and your lords and your evasive threats and your attacking mana bases. You're cheating out with Aether Vial. If the Aether Vial is like too high, it becomes too niche. Like that's like a 4 mana card. It doesn't even have flash. Like it's something to consider. It probably doesn't make it. It's held back, but there's merfolk support coming up for all of you modern merfolk lovers in the Marvel set. So shout out to that. Next up is going to be Baron Helma Zemo. Black. Shout out to all my Gary players. Whenever you cast a black spell from your hand, good restriction. Baron Helmet connives, so you get like the, you know, kind of draw discard. Boast, exile any number of black cards from your graveyard with 15 or more black mana symbols in their mana cost among them. So you can exile, you know, 3 black cards as long as they have 15 converted mana cost of black symbols in them. It'll probably end up being like 5 or 6 really. You may cast up to 3, and then you copy those exiled cards. You may cast up to 3 of the copies without paying their mana costs. Activate only if this creature attacked this turn, and only once each turn. Okay, so you are going to be able to activate this after an attack. It is instant speed. Only if this creature attacked this turn, and only once per turn. There's no sorcery restriction on this. You can attack with the Baron, immediately get this effect if you filled up a graveyard. Now, notably, this is like more of a mono black thing, but even though it's black heavy, you are going to be able to cast other spells that have black symbols in them, and it gets really tricky. So if you have something that costs like black and red, you can exile that card and cast it. It's just that it's not going to add to the 15. Like you have to work real hard to exile cards with 15 total black mana symbols in its mana cost. Then you can exile, in this case, exile any number of black cards from your graveyard. You can exile any other black. You can exile Dimir cards, 3-color Sultai cards. As long as you meet the 15, you can then cast the spells that you want and cast like the red card, the blue card, as long as it has a black in its mana symbol, because you have to exile cards specifically with black in its mana symbol. It can't just be a bunch of cards and then get the black ones and then you cast the non-black ones. No. That's not how that works. But in a deck where if you have Baron in the 99, you are going to be able to do that. But if Baron is your commander, then it's going to be mono black and you're fine anyway. Just like a little bit of tricky wording that you can take advantage of. Now, is there a world where like, you know, you put out like, you know, the black cards that are like black and its mana symbol, you're faithless looting them into your graveyard, you attack in with the Baron, like, you know, you put in Atraxa in there because Atraxa has black in its mana cost. Like there's a world there, Baron, Atraxa Reanimator, Gristlebrand. There's a world. Someone's going to try it. Is it good? No. Better as a commander. It's possible. Think about it. Just saying. Next card I want to bring up is specifically Bruce Banner and the Hulk. Once we flip over Bruce Banner, 1 mana, 1/1, you can also start to see Bruce like transform. You see kind of the green flex in it. And it says draw X cards, activate only as a sorcery. So you have to play X and X. If you pay 2 into it, you draw 1 card, and then you can pay 6 total mana to transform Bruce. It is going to be the Incredible Hulk. The artwork on this is amazing, by the way. Like shout out to Tony. Oh my God, or Tommy, I should say. Oh my God, beautiful artwork here. When I reach trample 8/8, whenever the Incredible Hulk is dealt damage, put a 1/1 counter on him, and then if he's attacking, untap him, and after this, there's an additional combat phase. There's no restriction to that. You know what that means? Caltrops, as Rachel Weeks so notably mentions in the stream itself, Caltrops allows this to go infinite. So whenever a creature attacks, Caltrops deals 1 damage to it, and so The Hulk is notably doesn't have haste, so you are going to have to enable it. Not that bad with anger, concording crossroads, all that stuff. Like there are going to be plenty of ways for you to make extra combats, get haste on your commander. Notably, this is a 3-color commander. It is a teamer commander. Doesn't mean you got to put blue cards in there, as was mentioned on the stream. But Caltrops, whenever it attacks, deal 1 damage to it. Then Incredible Hulk untaps, put a 1/1 counter on him, so it undoes the 1 damage, kind of. And then you attack again. Caltrops does another damage. There's another combat. You just go in for infinite combats. Easy. Infinite combats already built in. Great combo when it comes to that. The last thing I want to mention specifically is I'm going to kind of move my camera down here a little bit here. You're going to see, yes, Dr. Doom, pretty cool. Not the most exciting thing for a 6-mana 3/3, but whatever. Maybe there's a world for it. The Thing, Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Woman, and Human Torch are specifically revealed. You're going to notice the mana symbol is, not the mana symbol, the set symbol is different because this is for the Commander product. There are 4 Commander decks in the Marvel set. One of them is going to be the Fantastic Four themed. All 4 of the Fantastic Four are 5-color commanders. They're interchangeable in the command zone. They don't have partner, but you can just put one of them. You can choose any one of them. They generally have similar things that they want to do when it comes to non-creature spells. But one of them is going to be Fantastic Four themed. So there's a lot of excitement. A lot of people talking about one might be, you know, the Avengers themed. One might be Guardians of the Galaxy. One might be the X-Men or whatever it is, right? So a lot of excitement around the themes of the Commander deck, making up for the lack thereof in the Spider-Man set. We knew that the first Marvel set is going to go big. It's going to go bombastic. And the fact that we got all 4 of the Fantastic Four in the same deck, not even separate, absolutely insane. And of course, we have more Marvel sets coming down the line. So if your favorite team up or group in the Marvel Cinematic Universe or in Marvel Comics is not here, doesn't mean it's not going to come down the line. So a lot of excitement when it comes to the Fantastic Four. Generally, the 5-color slop commanders, I have a feeling about them. You know, Mr. Fantastic, you know, being able to tap down for 4 and copy target triggered ability twice. Pretty cool. The Thing has some like random, really cool synergies where whenever you cast a non-creature spell or when you get to the beginning of combat, if you cast a non-creature spell, put 4 1/1 counters on it. So it becomes a 9/9. And then whenever the Thing attacks, if you pay, you know, 4 of the other colors in it, double the number of each counter on target on permanent you control. So then you can double those 4 counters to then add 4 more, to then have it be 13. If you put a double strike counter on him, all of a sudden he's one-shotting someone for like, you know, what is that, like 26 commander damage. It's a thing. The Thing has trample. It's a thing. So a lot of cool stuff is going to come out of that. But regardless, a lot of cool abilities. That is going to be the notable spoilers for me. Please let me know in the comment section down below if I have missed anything. Obviously, there's a lot of cool stuff in terms of treatments. I actually really like the way they did sagas this time. Like, check out these like broken comic book panels. Like, I really like the templating of this. I think some of like the comic book ones are a little bit too crowded. The full art ones aren't on here for whatever reason. I believe maybe they're like part of like another set or whatever. But when it comes to the full art stuff, just like Avatar, like they're a little bit better. Still not ideal, but they are much better than just someone's face zoomed in. Oh God, it's way better than that. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Are you excited for the Marvel set? Is this just gonna be another slop set you're not a fan of? Or are you really looking forward to some of the support for different creature types that maybe didn't exist before, or were just kind of being hinted at, especially with the Spider-Man set in Heroes and Villains?